Hello there, I'm Steve Lowe, Director of Mobile within Gamma, and I'm here with my colleague Rob Kittler.
Hello, my name is Rob. I'm Head of Connectivity Practice here at Gamma. So I look after some of the product as far as mobile is concerned, as well as fixed connectivity.
Yeah, and I think today we're actually here to talk about the implications of the PSTN switch off within and beyond telecoms, and looking at some of the statistics from this Gamma report that we've both been looking at. It's pretty horrendous, really. It's quite nerve-wracking that so many businesses aren't actually even aware that there's going to be a PSTN switch off, which can fundamentally impact their businesses.
I suppose it speaks for itself when we're having to survey businesses to know if they're aware of what's happening or not. And as you say, some of the statistics are quite alarming because there are some end customers here that just don't realise what the switch off means for them. And I know that as an industry, we've been quite noisy over the last couple of years. We've certainly been telling our partners about this on the build up to it. We know that some of these dates are looming for the end of 2025. However, we say the word alarming. Some of the statistics are quite stark on the awareness. And I know here at Gamma, we've got many solutions. We've got our voice over IP solution, Horizon, the various UCaaS plugins and add-ons that exist. But there's probably a kind of, I wouldn't necessarily call it a niche. I don't know if you disagree with me or not, but there's a hardcore of connectivity that's going to not be around when the switch off goes that we need to address. And that's why we're talking now around this.
Yeah, I mean, and just to be clear, what we're talking about here is the shutting down essentially of the traditional fixed telephone network that people have been relying on for decades and decades and decades. That's all disappearing in fairly rapid timeframes. And I guess our concern is for our customers that if you're not aware of it now, if you're not planning to deal with it, if you don't have actions actually underway, then you're just building up a huge amount of pressure on yourselves to get this done at the last minute.
And I suppose we're quite guilty of thinking of PSTN as the traditional phone lines that are on office desks, dare I say it, home networks and things like that. But there's an absolute percentage that are in things like alarms and payment terminals, other kind of solutions that we are probably very guilty of not realizing exist. We just take them for granted, but they are absolutely going to get shut down and need moving away. And I suppose the problem is that some of these solutions that exist that we're not familiar with, or we've just taken for granted, we're not really aware of them. Some of them are absolutely business critical, and some of them are even more critical than that, dare I say, and encroach on other verticals.
Yeah. Well, you think about the medical industry, think about hospitals. This really is literally life and death, isn't it? In some cases.
Yeah. So there are, I suppose, I've listed some, but there are problems with PSTNs are used for alarms. They're used for payment terminals, door entry systems that we take for granted, and lift lines and emergency lines and things like that. All of these need a new type of terminal, a new type of connectivity as the PSTN goes away from copper. And I know that we've got various connectivity solutions here at Gamma, and we can help with those. Yeah. In some other podcasts, dare I say, we've spoke about the relevance of IoT and the advent of that arriving at Gamma, the relevance of eSIM and that arriving at Gamma. But have you got any advice, Steve, for any of the partners out there? Audit the base, do what they've got to do.
I think, just looking actually at one of these statistics, I put my glasses on for this because unfortunately I'm at that age where I need this to be able to see close up. But if we look here at awareness by company size, and I'm just reading off these Gamma statistics here from the survey, 78% of micro businesses, that's 1 to 9 employees, are completely unaware of the PSTN switch off. Right, so 22% are aware, 78% are not aware. Small businesses, a little bit bigger now, 10 to 49 employees, 52% are aware. Medium-sized businesses, that's 50 to 249 employees, 65% are aware. And even in the very largest businesses of 250 plus employees, only 66% of businesses are aware of the PSTN switch off. And I think they have no idea really that what's going to hit. And I think, as you say, I would say that, what do partners need to do? They need to talk to their end customers and get those businesses to conduct an audit to understand what they've got in place at the moment, what's going to be impacted by the switch off, and to make sure that there are kind of alternative plans in place to kind of replace that PSTN connectivity.
So I suppose that risk assessment is quite stark, looking at some of the percentages and some of the results in this report. Yeah. I suppose there's lots of activity that could be done. I know that, as I said, we've been quite noisy about this here at Gamma. We've got a dedicated website. We've certainly been using the normal marketing channels to let people know what kind of solutions we've got in place. I know that me and you were talking about this specifically, probably around some of the niche things, as we've mentioned. But there's an overarch, which is, please talk to your customers, understand what they're being billed, who they're being billed by, what kind of PSTN arrangements they've got, because these will be going in. Well, we're at the beginning of 2024 now, so less than 2 years' time when that switch off absolutely is. So it's vital. So planning, assessing, getting some communication out to customers, that outreach activity, all of those initiatives. But I suppose from our perspective with partners, I'm guilty of repeating myself. I know we're quite a noisy, in a good way, organisation for letting people know when things are happening and how they're happening. But I think the onus now is really getting to grips with that end customer, because some of the statistics are very stark. Yeah,
and then as we kind of have a look at some of the other use cases here, 40% of all alarms use PSTN as their kind of connectivity medium. 39% of payment terminals are using PSTN, 38% of door entry systems, and then 30% of lift emergency lines are using PSTN. And then when you look at the awareness in those areas, only 65% of those who are in the payment terminal space are aware of the PSTN switch off. Lift emergency lines 65%, alarms 64%, door entry systems 50%. And actually, I think it's worse than this, because we're talking about the PSTN switch off here. And what you and I know, Rob, from our background in mobile, is that a lot of these systems actually use mobile connectivity as well. And traditionally, they've used 2G or perhaps 3G connectivity. We know that the 3G networks are being switched off this year. So if you've got it's unlikely you've got a 3G only SIM. You would normally fall back onto 2G, but if you are reliant on 3G, that's an issue now. And then 2G networks will probably be switched off around the 2027 mark. So even if you're using mobile connectivity at the moment to support these use cases, you're still going to have to do something.
So although the percentages are very stark and mildly harrowing, from a connectivity perspective, we know we've got a solution through SIM cards, through IoT, and I imagine the hardware manufacturers, the people that look after the modems that are in alarms and payment terminals, they'll be wanting to move some people away from that traditional aspect as well. So initial advice, I suppose, from my connectivity and airtime perspective is reach out to some of those hardware providers. I'm sure they're probably doing similar things than this, maybe having their own podcasts, maybe having their own marketing material pointing out that they've got the latest equipment available and it just needs a SIM card on it. Here at Gamma, it would be churlish of me as well not to mention the fact we've got things like Phone Line Plus that will sit on a mobile device, and you can move that PSTN number onto Phone Line Plus as a piece of software, as that soft phone that then can sit on a mobile device. So those all-important numbers can migrate across to something that's now more mobile. It's not going from PSTN to PSTN. We've got the software for it to be able to handle. I know that we've had Simple Swap around for around about 18 months now. So not necessarily linked to alarms and payment terminals, but we will move a PSTN across with Sagia, port the number, Phone Line Plus, all in one simple order journey. That's called Simple Swap. If anybody needs any help on that, then please pick up the phone to anybody at Gamma, your normal account manager or BDM, and we'll talk you through the Simple Swap journey. But as I say, I'm guilty of repeating myself now. For the other peripherals, the alarms, the payment terminals, we've got SIM cards that will help. But please also urge those end customers to pick up the phones and speak to the manufacturers that they're currently buying off, because I'm sure they've probably got a future-proof solution out there for those kind of terminal types.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's it. I suppose the key messages from us really are, number one, awareness. If you're one of the, community of Gamma partners out there, please talk to your end customers, those end companies, make them aware again and make them aware again. Time is rapidly running out, and what they don't want to do is find themselves, in a crush at the last minute to try to get these things sorted. It's much better to plan it and to do it, in a calm way. Those customers need to do the audits, so absolutely make sure they understand what is connected to what and by what mechanism, so these cases can be protected against the PSTN switch off, and that there are mitigating plans in place, and then finally, establish projects to address these issues. And then I guess from a partner perspective, Rob, come and talk to us. We've got solutions out there that will help. Absolutely.
I mean, we know this is a kind of once in a lifetime opportunity, for want of a better term, but the ability to then future-proof is hugely important in all of these areas. So we've been quoting statistics off a white paper that's produced. I imagine the link is in here somewhere. And on the medium that you're watching us on. So please have a look through that. And there's some keynotes in here about auditing, contacting, start that plan, research some alternatives, check on the equipment compatibility. It's a kind of how-to guide to help you and those end customers navigate through this, because we are really all in this together at this moment in time. But yeah, please see it as opportunity and the ability to future-proof that customer.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you very much, Rob, for
thank you, Steve.
Joining me today to talk about this very, very important subject. And thank you all for joining. And look out for our other podcasts. Thank you.